Welcome back, dear students. Now in this lecture we are going to start chapter 5, plant growth and growth regulators. So as the growth is an irreversible increase in an organism in terms of height, weight, volume, diameter. So these are the sum of the growth parameters which are used for measuring the growth in plants. Similarly, there are certain organic compounds that has been synthesized in a particular cell or organs, and which organic compounds in extremely small quantity effect on the particular physiological process. These are called as growth regulators. They regulate the growth in plants. So such chemical compounds are called as the growth regulators. Now in this chapter we are going to discuss on the plant growths, factors affecting on the plant growth, further the various growth regulators that affect on the growth of the plants. So this is the summary of the chapter 5, plant growth and growth regulators. So introduction: growth is an essential character of all living organisms. All living organisms shows the growth, the development of entire organism from a single cell, or in case of higher plants, the development of mature plant from a tiny seed is said to be growth. So as you know that in case of the higher plants, we generally sown the seed in the soil. These seeds after getting water get swell, and there is emergence of plumule and radicle. So this phenomenon we call it as germination, seed germination. So after seed germination, the seed has been developed into the plumule and radicle. That radicle develops into the primary root, while the plumule gives rise to the aerial shoot. So further growth or further development of the plant has been occurred. So all these events occurred from germination to the development of the mature plant from a tiny seed is said to be the growth. There is an increase in size, shape, weight, height, length and biomass due to the growth. It is a permanent and irreversible change in an organism. So this word irreversible, it is important. It is permanent and irreversible. Once the change has been occurred, it cannot be reversed. So it is a permanent and irreversible change in an organism. Growth occurs due to the cell enlargement and cell division. So these are the two events: cell division and cell enlargement are responsible for the growth in organism. It involves various physiological and biochemical processes. It needs favorable external and internal environmental condition. So when the growth occur in an organism, there is an involvement of various physiological and biochemical processes. Furthermore, for the normal growth and development of the plant, it needs favorable external and internal environmental conditions. The growth is a permanent and irreversible change in an organism. There is an increase in size, shape, weight, height, length and biomass due to the growth, and the growth occurs due to cell division and cell enlargement. Now the definition of the growth can be defined as a permanent and irreversible increase in an organism, or one can define growth is a vital process which brings about permanent change in any organism or its part with respect to its size, weight and volume. So this is called as the growth. In short, we can define growth in a simple way as a permanent and irreversible increase in organism. We can also define growth by adding certain growth parameters like size, weight, volume. So the growth is a vital process which brings about a permanent change in any organism or its part with respect to its size, weight and volume. So this is about the definition of the growth in organism. Now the growth in plants and animals. So growth in plant and animal has been differ from each other with these points. growth in plants is due to a special tissue known as meristem, which is not present in animals. So in case of plant, meristem is a group of meristematic tissues which are in a continuous state of cell division. These cells of the meristematic tissue are characterized by the dense cytoplasm and the prominent nucleus. The cell is in a continuous state of cell division. So the growth in plant is due to a special tissue known as the meristem, which is made up of meristematic tissue. While in case of animal, such meristem or a meristematic tissue is not present in animals. In plants, growth is localized in meristem present in birds at nodal regions and in the vascular bundle. Suppose in case of plant, when there is an increase in the height of the plant, such meristem has been present at the apex of the plant. It is called as apical meristem. Similarly, for the occurrence of the lateral branches, this meristem has been present in the adventitious buds or the lateral buds. Similarly, at nodal region also this meristem has been present. In case of vascular plants, where they undergoes secondary growth, this meristem has been present in the vascular bundle, which is responsible for increasing the diameter of the stem or the whole plant. So in plant, growth is localized where the meristem has been present. Hence, when the meristem has been present in the buds, at nodal regions and in the vascular bundles. While in case of animals, growth is not localized, it is uniform. The growth is uniform in animals, while in case of plant, growth is localized. In perennial plants, growth is a continuous process responsible for unlimited growth. So those plants which grows year and year, or means more than 2 years, so such plants are referred as perennial plant. The giant trees or the tree habit plant are the perennial plant. So these plants grow continuously. So in such perennial plants, growth is a continuous process responsible for unlimited growth. While in case of animals, growth occurs at a particular period in the life and it is limited. So growth in case of animal occur at a particular period in the life and it is limited. It is not unlimited like the perennial plant. So these are the some of the differences between the growth in plants and animals. Now the phases of the growth. The term growth usually refers to quantitative increase in the plant body. Quantitative increase means if there is an increase in the height of the plant, weight of the plant, volume of the plant. So those parameters which can be measured in terms of in metric tons or in countable numbers. For example, increase in height, fresh weight, dry weight, length, volume, diameter. So such quantitative increase in the plant body which is referred as the growth. So the increase in height, fresh and dry weight, etc. are the different parameters of growth in plants. The increase in growth parameters is generally irreversible. So we seen in the definition, the growth is a permanent and irreversible increase in an organism that we called as the growth. So once the growth occur in the plant, it is generally irreversible. Now here we are dealing with the phases of the growth. The growth in plants is restricted to certain regions only where the meristem has been located, which are known as the growth region. In these growth regions, food is constantly accumulated and assimilated at the cost of reserve material, some of which is also oxidized during respiration and release energy in the form of ATP. So what happen at the growth region where there is a presence of meristem? In such growth regions, food is constantly accumulated. So the food synthesis in plant has been takes place in the leaves by the process of photosynthesis. From leaves, the food has been translocated to the growth regions where the food material is constantly accumulated. Once it accumulated at a particular level, it has been assimilated, utilized for obtaining energy in the form of ATP during the process of respiration. So the energy in the form of ATP that has been released from the oxidation of the accumulated food. So such energy has been used for performing growth in the plant. So growth in plant is restricted to the certain regions only. We refer it as growth regions, and in these growth regions food is constantly accumulated and assimilated, where the energy is released in the form of ATP, and this energy is used for continuing growth in the plant. Growth is one aspect of development of an organism. It begins with a single cell. In plants, meristematic cells have to pass through three phases of the growth. So growth begins with a single cell, more precisely in the meristematic cell, and such meristematic cell have to pass through three phases of the growth. So these three phases where the meristematic cell has to be passed through for growth and development are referred as phases of growth. So there are three phases of the growth: cell formation or exponential phase, cell elongation or linear phase, and the third one is the cell maturation or senescence phase. So cell formation, where the new cells has been formed as a result of cell division. These newly formed cells undergoes cell elongation, and finally it goes for cell maturation. So these are the three phases of the growth: cell formation phase, cell elongation phase, and cell maturation phase. We can also say these are exponential phase, linear phase, and senescence phase. Each phase is characterized by some physical and physiological changes in the plant. The time required to complete each phase is specific, and each phase has been characterized by some physical and physiological changes. So here we are going to study the phases of growth. These are cell formation phase, cell elongation phase, and cell maturation phase. One by one we are going to study all these three phases. So the first one is the cell formation phase. It is the first phase of the growth in which after cell division new cells are formed. Here the meristematic cell has to be passed through three phases of the growth, that is cell formation, cell elongation, and cell maturation phase. Here we are discussing the cell formation phase. It is the first phase of the growth where the new cells are formed after cell division. These cells are small in size, have an active nucleus and cytoplasm. They are ready to absorb water, food material, and have a high metabolic rate. Cell walls are thin and cells contain a large quantity of solids. So after the cell division, new cells are formed which are small in size, have an active nucleus and cytoplasm. These cells are ready to absorb water and food material and have a high metabolic rate. Cell walls are thin and cell contains a large quantity of solute. So this character, the cell walls are thin and the cell contains the large quantity of solute, because of which the cell absorb the sufficient quantity of the water from the outside. There is an increase in the volume of the cell, means there is an increase in the size of the cell having high metabolic rate. So these are the characteristics of the cell formation phase. After this, cell elongation phase. After accumulation of a large quantity of solutes, the cells absorb water by osmotic pressure. So here I was previously told that the cell walls are thin and the cell contain large quantity of the solutes. So due to this, the osmotic pressure of the cell sap has been increased, due to which the cell absorb large quantity of the water, which results in increasing turgidity of the cells and the expansion of thin and elastic cell wall. So cell wall which is thin and elastic get expand due to the entry of water into the cell. So this results into the increasing the turgidity of the cell. So this results in increasing the volume of the cells. more cellulose molecules get deposited on the cell walls, due to which more water is absorbed and the cell becomes turgid. Initially the cell wall is very thin. The cell absorbs sufficient quantity of the food material, water, so that resulted into the increase in the volume of the cell. More cellulose molecules get deposited on the cell wall, due to which cell again absorb more water and cell becomes turgid. Turgidity increases due to the appearance of a large central vacuole in each cell. It leads to the increase in length and size of the cell. So large central vacuole that appear in the center of the cell increases the length and size of the cell. Also the turgidity that occurs due to the entry of water into the cell by the difference in the osmotic pressure. Further, more cellulose molecules get deposited on the cell walls, due to which more water is absorbed and the cell become turgid. The overall effect of this is increase in the length and size of the cell. And the last phase is the cell maturation phase. In this phase, the metabolic activities of the cells increases and the cells accumulate food material. Secondary cell walls are laid down. So here, if you see in the cell formation phase, the cell wall is thin. In cell elongation phase, the cellulose molecules get deposited on the cell wall. Now in the last phase, that is the cell maturation phase, the secondary cell walls are laid down and the cells mature and get differentiated into the tissue. So there is no movement of the water or the solute inside and the outside of the cell because of the formation of secondary cell wall above the primary cell wall. There is no change in the size of the cells. Many biochemical changes occur in the cells and cell enters into the senescence phase, that is the cell maturation phase. Growth phases can be clearly seen in the germinating seeds. So here in this figure we can see all these three phases of the growth, that is the cell formation, cell elongation and cell maturation phase. Here the new cells are formed at the tip of the root. Here this region possesses meristematic cell. These cells are in a continuous state of cell division. Suppose if we consider this is the one cell that has been formed from this cell. So here this cell divided into the two cells. So this phase, it is the cell formation phase. After a cell division, new cells are formed. After that, this cell get elongated due to the absorbance of the water. It increases the turgidity, cellulose get deposited on the cell wall. It further increases in the volume and the length of the cell. This is the cell elongation phase. The cell get elongated. Initially the cell shape is isodiametric, while in the second phase, that is the cell elongation phase, the cell get elongated. There is an increase in the length and the volume of the cell. And finally in the cell maturation phase, the secondary cell wall has been laid down. The cell get mature and differentiated into the tissue. There is no change in the size of the cell and many biochemical changes occur in the cell, and finally cell enters into the senescence phase or the death phase. So growth phases that can be clearly seen in the germinating seeds. When growth begins in an organism, it is continued until an organism or organ acquire its permanent form. So as you know that the cell is a structural and the functional unit of the life. The tissue is made up of the cell. Further, the organ, it is composed of the tissue having similar function. So when growth begins in an organism, it begins with a cell. It get continued with the tissue and organ. So when the growth begins in an organism, it is continued until an organism or organ acquires its permanent form. The total period required by an organism to grow and to acquire a permanent form is known as the grand period of the growth. So this grand period of the growth, this term was used for the first time by the German physiologist Sachs in 1873. So grand period of the growth is a total period required by an organism to grow and to acquire a permanent form, that we called as grand period of growth. So this term was used for the first time by German physiologist Sachs. So these are the phases of the growth: cell formation phase, cell elongation phase, and cell maturation phase. So if you see these three phases of the growth is slow at the beginning during the cell formation phase. It becomes rapid later at cell elongation phase, and again slows down at the end, that is at the cell maturation phase. And after that it attains a steady state. No further increase has been seen if we plot a graph. If a graph is plotted by considering the growth rate against time for any plant, it results in a S-shaped curve known as sigmoid curve. So here if you plot a graph by considering one of the growth parameter as a growth rate, that is the leaf area in square centimeter, and here on the x-axis if we put the days. So in the beginning the growth is slow, so that is found in the cell formation phase. After that it becomes rapid, so this rapidity has been characterized at the cell elongation phase, and again slows down at the maturation phase and attains a steady state. So further increase is not possible after this stage. So if you plot a graph, it appears as S-shaped curve. So this shape, it is the S-shaped curve or sigmoid curve. So here the growth is slow at the beginning, it is referred as lag phase. Here it becomes exponential, it is referred as log phase, and again slows down and attains a steady state, it is a stationary phase. So this cell formation, cell elongation, and cell maturation phases are referred as lag phase, log phase, stationary phase. If you plot the graph by considering growth rate against time for any plant, it results in a S-shaped curve known as sigmoid curve. So this is all about regarding the phases of growth. Now the factors affecting growth. So there are certain external and internal growth factors that affect on growth. So these factors we will study in the next lecture. So this is all for today. Thank you.